guys excited to have been picked by the city of Alberni to develop this property?
I mean, that is a good question, and it's one that really lends itself to the vision that the community has put together, that council has embraced. And when we look at Port Alberni as a place within the island, like, it is poised to grow. It's an incredible community that's very active and engaged. It's got this beautiful assets that we're surrounded by: water, forests, lakes, and we're excited to be a part of that growth.
What do you, in terms of what this will look like at the end of the day, I'm guessing there's a lot of work to be done before then, but just what do you kind of envision?
Yeah, there's a lot to be done before we can really determine that with any certainty, but at a high level, there's a few things that we see key to this development. You know, one of which is that it is truly mixed use. We want to embrace the surrounding area, the history of Port Alberni. We don't want to shy away from the industry that exists in and around us, but really tie into it. We know that park space is going to be huge. We want to see organic retail, and we want to see residential down here as well. So wherever we can, we would love to embrace the historic buildings on site and to find ways to repurpose them and integrate them into the future development.
Okay, and do you see this as potentially being a destination within Port Alberni?
Absolutely, but not only a destination for people outside of Port Alberni, but really an extension of the community. If we do our jobs properly, the town of Port Alberni will see this as theirs, and we need to work closely with the city to ensure that we get that to happen.
Okay. In terms of liability, like how do things kind of, I've heard some people in the community musing about contaminated soils under this land. Is that the responsibility now of the developer to deal with, or the city, or will you guys build over it and it's not really a factor? Or
Well, we're still wrapping our heads around the environmental issues with the site, but I do know the city has a really strong handle on it and is actively working to remove any existing contamination. We don't shy away from it, though. It's something that we're going to have to deal with and ensure is dealt with to get certificates of compliance with the Ministry of Environment. And it's something that we've dealt with historically. So oceanfront Squamish is somewhere where we've had to do a lot of remediation, and you know, it's not something that that we're afraid of, and we know the development will help ensure that the site does get cleaned up, and so it can be a vehicle for that.
I'm sure you've heard of this one group in Port Alberni that figures that this entire area should be renaturalized, and that with climate change, water's rising, that this area should all move back. Just what would your response be to that group and the vision that's foreseen for this property?
You know, in a perfect world, you can have your cake and eat it too. And so we do see a big part of the site being naturalized, being green, embracing the park space that can be here. And the development will help facilitate that and allow that to happen. You know, we have to deal with flood construction levels, though, ensure that we're building to future sea level rise. And that's something that we've engaged with on other developments in the past, and there are ways to manage that.
Okay.
How is this similar to your Squamish project, and how is it different?
There are a lot of similarities between Squamish and Port Alberni. You know, it's an old industrial site on the water with contamination in a town that you know, was really built off of industry, and both towns are going through periods of growth and change, and so this really is quite similar in all those factors. You know, the differences being that you know, I think Port Alberni is a little bit behind the curve where Squamish was, you know, maybe 5-7 years back, and yeah, we're just sort of following that growth.
And is the deal completed now?
So we have a letter of intent signed with the city, and are working towards a master development agreement.
And what's the timeline on that?
You know, I think we're trying to get something figured out by the summer.
Can you just speak about First Nations involvement? Because I see that they're keen for this project. Just what will the mutual benefits be in your mind going forward?
Yeah, we want to work really closely with both the Wiwchar and the Shesat Nation. That's critical to how we work as an organization. We partnered with the Squamish Nation in Squamish. We've partnered with the Choctaw Nation in Oklahoma. It's something that's integral to our DNA, and we really see it quite critical for the site to move forward. So we want to go through the planning process hand in hand with both nations here, and then find ways to continue to work together on development and finding assets for the nations and the community, because I think when we work together, there's a lot more that we all benefit from.
John, in the past, you've mentioned community consultation, talking with members of the community about what the plan is as the plan is being developed. When do you see that happening?
I think once we get our master agreement put together with the city, that will allow us to start moving forward into that. So hopefully soon after that's done, we'll begin in the summer and start talking with the community.
And is this a development that I'm going to see in my lifetime?
I do hope so, yes. Yeah.
For people who aren't familiar with Matthews West, what's the biggest project you guys have worked on before this, and how big is the company?
That's a great question. It's a tough one to answer too. So it depends on how you look at scale. We've done projects that are, the largest or second largest office tower in Canada. I think our large scale developments in Squamish are up there if you take a look at them as a whole. And so, the size of our company, there's about 60 employees across the U.S. and Canada. We have an office in Dubai as well, and about half our work is in Canada, half is in the U.S. Yeah.
Can you tell me about the two buildings that you're hoping to save?
Yeah, we're looking at one right here. When we came to site for the first time, this building really caught the eye of everyone on my team, and it's mass timber construction. It's got beautiful bones, and it's something that we would really love to be able to keep on site if possible. A lot of things will help determine if that is possible. Flood construction levels, how we're going to manage that. We've got to actually get in and study the building, understand its structural components, and if possible, we see this becoming a key piece of the redevelopment of the site. The other building is this building here, and this one we haven't really spent as much time thinking through, but we just fell in love with it. So, yeah.
Potential commercial spaces you're thinking?
Potential commercial spaces, community spaces. We like to try and activate the site early, if and when possible. And that might be interim uses like a skate park or something while we're working on the remaining of the site. Or it could become a bigger retail area like a market. So, yeah.
And what was the previous function of these buildings? I think this one was the head saw building.
Yeah, and this was the main mill, if I recall correctly. I guess I should also say it'd be fantastic if we could keep the grain silos as well. A little trickier to repurpose, but we do have a couple ideas and a couple users that could potentially use them.
John, is there any thought to putting a marina out front or another boat launch? I keep hearing people talking boat launch.
I keep hearing people talking boat launch too, and so I think we'd love to find a way to tie that into the site. There are some moving pieces in and around that, but that's something that we see as critical to the community. So it's definitely a priority for us to find a way to make that work if possible. And then marina is just too far ahead to understand what's possible or what's not.